Cultural competency, exploring different cultures and how they approach death and dying. Your point of view, our priority. Honored always. Honoring different faiths. Honoring Christian religions. Christians have a belief in the afterlife. Heaven or hell is determined by faith and actions. Christians view death as a transition to eternal life, with the surviving soul surviving a physical death. Christians place an emphasis on forgiveness, redemption, and salvation through Jesus Christ. Funeral rites include burial or cremation, often with a church service and prayers for the deceased. Their mourning period varies by denomination, but often includes a period of mourning and memorial services. Catholics may have an anointing of the sick or last rites performed by a priest. Parishioners may come to the home to visit and bring communion. All Saints' Day, or All Hallows' Day, is an ancient Christian tradition honoring all saints and martyrs. Traditions include church services, visiting cemeteries, traditional foods, and family gatherings to share meals and stories of loved ones who have passed away. Honoring Islam. There is a belief in the afterlife. Paradise or hell is determined by faith and deeds. They view death as a tradition to accountability for one's deeds, with the soul being judged by Allah. Emphasis on submission to Allah's will and living a righteous life. Funeral rites may include washing and wrapping the body, and a prayer and burial within 24 hours of death. The mourning period is 3 days with prayer and charity offered for the deceased. Honoring Judaism. There is a belief in the afterlife, the world to come, with the soul surviving physical death. They view death as a natural part of life, with an emphasis on mourning and remembrance. They place an emphasis on living a virtuous life and following Jewish law. Funeral rites include a burial, often with a traditional Jewish service, and mourning period, or Shiva. There are 5 stages to the mourning process. There is a pre-burial mourning and a 7-day period following the burial, called Shiva. There is also a 30-day mourning period, and then there is a first year mourning period, observed only by the children of the deceased. Let's review some of the basic practices of the Shiva. Condolence meal. Traditionally, the condolence meal is made up of bagels and hard-boiled eggs. The roundness symbolizes the circle of life. The house of mourning. Mourners remain in their home for the full week and sit Shiva. Working and doing business. Work and business is prohibited during Shiva. Consoling the bereaved, otherwise known as making a Shiva call, is considered a mitzvah to visit and console the bereaved. There is an assembled prayer quorum for the house of mourning. 5 candles should be lit, representing 5 levels of the soul, and kept lit for the entire 7-day period of Shiva. Covering the mirrors. The mirrors of the home should be covered for the 7-day period of Shiva. Sitting Shiva. Mourners sit low on stools for the 7-day period. Grooming, leather shoes, music and entertainment, Torah study, and marital relations are all foregone during the 7-day period. Shabbat. All public displays of mourning are suspended during the holy day. Getting up from Shiva. Mourners rise on the 7th day and return to everyday life. Honoring Hinduism. In Hinduism, there is a belief in reincarnation and the cycle of life and death. Death is viewed as a transition to a new life, with the soul reborn based on karma. There is an emphasis on spiritual growth and achieving liberation. The funeral rites are cremation, often with a traditional Hindu ceremony. There is a significant ritual of ashes being scattered in the Ganges River. This symbolizes a release from the cycle of life and death. The river is considered sacred, representing the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Scattering ashes into the river signifies the soul's liberation from the cycle. Purification and cleansing. The Ganges is believed to have purifying properties, cleansing the soul of karma and past mistakes. Journey to the afterlife. Scattering ashes in the Ganges is thought to facilitate the deceased journey to the afterlife, ensuring a safe passage and reunion with ancestors. Respect and reverence. This ritual shows respect for the deceased in the natural world, acknowledging the interconnectedness of all living beings. The mourning period is 10 to 14 days, with rituals and offerings for the deceased. Honoring Buddhism. There is a belief in reincarnation and the cycle of suffering. Death is viewed as a transition to a new life or nirvana, with the goal of achieving enlightenment. There is an emphasis on mindfulness, letting go of attachments, and living in the present. Funeral rites are cremation or burial, often with a Buddhist ceremony and prayers for the deceased. The mourning period varies by tradition, but often includes meditation and rituals for the deceased. Honoring Sikhism. There is a belief in an afterlife and reunion with God. Death is viewed as a transition to a new life, with the soul surviving physical death. There is an emphasis on living a virtuous life, following Sikh principles and achieving spiritual growth. Funeral rites are cremation, often with a Sikh ceremony and prayers for the deceased. There is a mourning period of 3 days with prayers and charity offered for the deceased. Honoring Taoism. There is a belief in the cycle of life and death, with emphasis on living in harmony with nature. Death is viewed as a natural part of the universe, with the soul returning to the Tao. There is an emphasis on living a balanced and virtuous life. Funeral rites include cremation or burial, often with a traditional Taoist ceremony and rituals. Mourning period varies by tradition, but often includes meditation and offerings for the deceased. Honoring Native American religions. There is a belief in the interconnectedness of all living things. Death is viewed as a transition to a new life, with the soul surviving physical death. There is an emphasis on honoring ancestors and the land. Funeral rites vary by tradition, often including ceremonies and rituals to honor the deceased. Mourning periods vary by tribe, but often include rituals and offerings for the deceased. Honoring atheism. There is no belief in an afterlife or spiritual realm. Death is viewed as the end of life with no continuation of the soul. There is an emphasis on living in the present moment and making the most of life. Funeral rites vary by tradition, often including secular ceremonies and memorials. The mourning period varies by individual, but often includes time for reflection and remembrance. Honoring different cultures. Honoring African cultures. Family-centered care. The family is often the primary caregiver, with a focus on emotional and spiritual support. Community involvement. The community may be involved in caring for the dying, with neighbors and friends providing support. Traditional healers. Traditional healers may be consulted for spiritual and medical guidance. Honoring Asian cultures. Respect for elders. Elders are highly respected and their care is often prioritized. Family responsibility. Family members are expected to care for the dying with a focus on filial piety. Traditional medicine. Traditional medicine such as acupuncture and herbal remedies may be used in conjunction with Western medicine. Filial piety is the virtue of respect, obedience, and care for one's parents and ancestors. Its roots are in ancient Eastern cultures, particularly in China, Japan, and Korea. Emphasizes the importance of respecting and caring for older generations. Promoting family values such as loyalty, obedience, and responsibility. Seen as essential for maintaining social harmony and balance. It is believed to promote personal growth as individuals learn to prioritize others' needs and develop selflessness. The principles are respect. Show respect to parents and ancestors through bowing, using honorific language, and offering gifts. Obedience. Obey parents' wishes and decisions, even if they differ from one's own. Care. Provide physical, emotional, and financial support to parents and ancestors. Honor. Honor ancestors through rituals, ceremonies, and offerings. Caregiving. Care for aging parents and provide support. Respectful language. Use honorific language when addressing elders. Thanksgiving Day is an ancient Chinese festival honoring ancestors and deceased loved ones. Families visit and clean ancestors' graves, often with incense, flowers, and food offerings. People honor their ancestors with prayers, incense, and worship. A traditional sport and spectacle, dragon boat racing, symbolizes the search for a famous poet who drowned himself in the river. Joss paper burning. Burning joss paper is a symbolic gesture to provide for the deceased in the afterlife. This festival emphasizes the importance of respecting and honoring one's ancestors. The Harvest Festival, or Korean Thanksgiving, honors ancestors and expresses gratitude for the harvest. Traditions include ancestor worship, eating traditional foods, reuniting with family, playing traditional games, and preserving traditional Korean customs and cultural heritage. Honoring Latin American cultures. Latin American cultures approach the end-of-life experience with family gatherings to care for the dying, with a focus on emotional support, traditional rituals such as prayer and music to comfort the dying, respect their ancestors, with a focus on the spiritual and social connections. The Day of the Dead is an ancient Mexican festival honoring ancestors and loved ones who have passed away. The festival celebrates the cycle of life and death and the connection between the living and the dead. The Day of the Dead brings families and communities together to share and traditions and celebrations. Skulls and skeletons represent the cycle of life and death and are often depicted in a festive and colorful manner. Marigolds are known as flowers of the dead and are believed to guide the spirits of the deceased back to their altars. Candles represent the light that guides the spirits of the deceased. Incense is used to purify and cleanse the altars and graves. Honoring Native American cultures. In Native American cultures, the spiritual connection is often prioritized, with a focus on the individual's relationship with nature and the afterlife. Traditional healers may be consulted for spiritual and medical guidance. The community may be involved in caring for the dying, with a focus on emotional and spiritual support. Honoring Middle Eastern cultures. Middle Eastern cultures have a respect for tradition, and traditional practices such as prayer and fasting may be followed. The family is often the primary caregiver, with a focus on emotional and spiritual support. Hospital care may be sought. Honoring European cultures. There is often a strong focus on medical care, with an emphasis on pain management and symptom control. Hospice care is widely accepted, with a focus on comfort and quality of life. Care is often individualized with a focus on the person's specific needs and preferences. Honoring communication styles. In some cultures, indirect communication is preferred to avoid conflict or loss of face. In hospice, this may mean patients or families avoid discussing end-of-life issues directly. In high-context cultures, relationships and context are crucial. In hospice, this may mean patients or families prioritize building relationships with caregivers before discussing medical issues. For high-context cultures, build strong relationships before doing business or discussing important matters. Rely on nonverbal cues, shared knowledge, and context to convey meaning. Prioritize group harmony and consensus over individual goals. Emphasize long-term relationships and trust over short-term gains. For low-context cultures, focus on efficiency, productivity, and clear communication. Rely on direct, clear, and concise language to convey meaning. Prioritize individual goals and freedom over group harmony. Emphasize quick results and efficiency over long-term relationships. As an example, high-context patients may prioritize building relationships with caregivers, require more time for decision-making, and value group consensus. Low-context patients may prefer direct and clear communication, prioritize individual autonomy, and focus on efficient care. Honoring family roles. In collectivist cultures, family decisions are prioritized over individual preferences. In hospice, this may mean families make decisions collectively rather than the patient alone. In hierarchical cultures, older family members or authority figures hold significant influence. In hospice, this may mean that older family members take the lead. Honoring pain and symptom control preferences. In some cultures, pain is seen as a natural part of life or a test of strength. In hospice, this may mean patients or families are hesitant to report pain or to request pain medication. In some cultures, alternative healing practices are preferred. In hospice, this may mean patients or families request integrative therapies like acupuncture or herbal remedies. Key takeaways. Cultural humility. Recognize the limitations of your own perspective and points of view. Be willing to learn from others. Context matters. Consider the perspectives and points of view of our patients and their family members. Respect and empathy. We provide care with respect, empathy, and compassion, regardless of our differences. Reflection. Reflect on your own culture and recognize how your own background influences your point of view and care practices. Be open to learn from other points of view. Collaborate. Ask questions and seek clarification when unsure about cultural practices or values. Share knowledge and experiences with the team to improve cultural sensitivity and awareness. Engage with patients and families to discover their cultural values and preferences to provide person-centered care. Exploring cultural sensitivity is an ongoing journey. Our company tagline, "Your point of view, our priority, honored always," demonstrates our commitment to embrace diversity and honor those we serve and employ. Together, we will provide compassionate and comprehensive care for all. Thank you for honoring those we serve.